My sister-in-law tried to ruin our baby shower, but karma had other plans. You'd think that when you announce a pregnancy, people would celebrate with you. I mean, it's supposed to be one of the happiest times of your life, right? Well, for my husband, Alex, and me, that happiness was quickly dampened by one person. His sister, Lisa. Lisa has always been a handful. Growing up, she was the golden child, the one who got all the attention, and she thrived on it. But when Alex and I started dating, that attention started shifting. It was subtle at first. Lisa would make little comments about how Alex was spending too much time with me, or how he was forgetting his family. By the time we got married, her resentment was in full bloom. She actually showed up late to our wedding, claiming there was traffic, even though the venue was less than 15 minutes from her house. And when she did arrive, she was wearing a dress that could have passed as a bridal gown. That's just who Lisa is. She has to be the star of the show, no matter whose spotlight she's stealing. When we announced we were expecting, Lisa's reaction was lukewarm at best. While everyone else was hugging us and sharing in our joy, Lisa barely said a word. Later, she pulled Alex aside and said, "I hope you're ready for your life to be over. Kids ruin everything." Alex brushed it off as another one of her jealous digs, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. As the pregnancy progressed, Lisa's behavior got worse. She'd make passive-aggressive comments whenever we saw her, like, "Hope you're saving up, babies aren't cheap," or "Don't expect me to babysit, I've got my own life, you know." I tried to ignore her, but it was hard not to take it personally. Then came the baby shower. Alex and I were beyond excited. We'd been planning it for weeks and wanted it to be a special day to celebrate with our loved ones. We booked a beautiful venue, hired a caterer, and picked out decorations that matched our nursery theme. Everything was falling into place. But a week before the shower, things started going wrong. First, the florist called to say they couldn't fulfill our order because someone had canceled it. Then, the caterer emailed us, confused about a supposed date change. And if that wasn't enough, a few of our friends texted us asking if the shower was still happening because they'd received new invitations with the wrong address. At first, I thought it was all just an unfortunate series of coincidences, but then one of the vendors mentioned something that made my stomach drop. They said the person who called to cancel our order had introduced herself as Lisa. I couldn't believe it. Who does something like that? I mean, I knew Lisa didn't like me, but this was a whole new level of petty. When I told Alex, he was livid. He immediately called Lisa to confront her, but she denied everything. "Why would I sabotage your baby shower?" she said, her voice dripping with fake innocence. "I don't even know what florist you're using." But the more she talked, the less convincing she sounded. Alex and I spent the next few days scrambling to fix everything. We had to reconfirm with the vendors, send out corrected invitations, and reassure our guests that the shower was still happening. It was stressful, but we refused to let Lisa ruin this for us. On the day of the shower, Lisa showed up fashionably late, of course. She waltzed in with this smug grin on her face, acting like she was doing us a favor by being there. I tried to stay civil for the sake of the other guests, but every time I saw her, my blood boiled. Lisa didn't stop there. Throughout the party, she made it her mission to stir the pot. She'd corner our guests and make snarky comments about how Alex and I were too young to be parents, or how we were going to be so overwhelmed. She even joked about how I'd probably never lose the baby weight. At one point, I overheard her telling one of Alex's cousins, "I don't even know why they're throwing a shower. It's not like they can afford half the stuff they're asking for." I felt like I was going to explode, but I kept my cool. This was supposed to be a happy day, and I wasn't going to let Lisa ruin it for me. Then came the gift opening. Lisa handed me her gift with this sly look on her face, and I should have known something was up. But I didn't want to cause a scene, so I opened it. Inside was a onesie that said, "Oops," in big, bold letters. The room went silent. For a moment, I just stared at it, trying to process what I was looking at. Then I looked up at Lisa, who was smirking like she'd just pulled off the prank of the century. I took a deep breath and said, "Lisa, this isn't funny. This is supposed to be a celebration, and you've done nothing but try to ruin it. If you can't be happy for us, maybe you shouldn't be here." Lisa's face turned bright red. She tried to laugh it off, saying, "Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." Alex stood up and said, "Enough, Lisa. We've put up with your behavior for too long, and it's not okay. This is our day, not yours." The tension in the room was palpable. Lisa looked around, expecting someone to come to her defense, but instead, people started chiming in about how inappropriate her behavior had been. Even her own mom told her she was out of line. Lisa stormed out, slamming the door behind her. After Lisa stormed out, the room was quiet for a moment. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, and honestly, I wasn't sure what to do. Part of me felt guilty for letting things get to this point during what was supposed to be a happy occasion, but another part of me felt a sense of relief. For the first time, I wasn't pretending everything was fine. Alex put his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "You did the right thing." That small gesture was enough to help me refocus. Slowly, the mood in the room began to shift. One of my aunts clapped her hands and said, "All right, let's get back to celebrating this baby." People started laughing, and before I knew it, the conversation picked back up. The rest of the shower went better than I could have hoped. People were more relaxed, and it felt like a weight had been lifted. My mom even came over to give me a big hug and said, "I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself." That took guts. After the shower, Alex and I stayed behind to help clean up. As we were gathering decorations, his mom approached us. "I want to apologize for Lisa," she said, looking genuinely upset. "I've tried to talk to her about her behavior, but she just doesn't listen. I don't know why she's so bitter, but she's going to have to deal with the consequences of her actions." I appreciated her words, but I could tell it wasn't easy for her. Lisa had always been her baby, the one she tried to protect. It couldn't have been easy for her to admit that Lisa was in the wrong. Over the next few days, we heard from a lot of family members about what had happened. Most of them were on our side, saying Lisa had gone too far and deserved to be called out. But, of course, there were a few who thought I should have handled it differently. "She's your sister-in-law," one of Alex's cousins said. "Family is family, and you have to find a way to get along." I wanted to scream. Why is it that the person causing the drama always gets a free pass because they're family? Why is it my responsibility to keep the peace when Lisa was the one who crossed the line? Alex, thankfully, had my back. Every time someone tried to make me feel guilty, he'd step in and shut it down. "Jamie didn't do anything wrong," he'd say. "Lisa brought this on herself." But the real surprise came about a week later. I was at home folding some baby clothes when I got a text from an unknown number. It was Lisa. The message said, "I guess I owe you an apology. I didn't mean to ruin your shower, but I was feeling left out. I don't know, I'm sorry, okay?" I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to just delete it and move on, but another part of me felt like maybe, just maybe, this was the start of her taking responsibility for her actions. I showed the text to Alex, and he shrugged. "It's up to you," he said. "But don't feel like you have to accept her apology just to keep the peace. It needs to be genuine." After thinking it over, I decided to reply. I kept it short and simple. "Thank you for apologizing. I hope we can move forward, but it'll take time." Lisa never responded, and honestly, I didn't expect her to. But things have been different since then. She's kept her distance, and when we do see her at family gatherings, she's noticeably quieter. It's almost like she's trying to avoid any situation where she might be called out again. As for Alex and me, we've never been closer. Going through all of this made us realize how important it is to have each other's backs, no matter what. And when our baby finally arrived, the love and support we received from the rest of the family more than made up for the drama. Sometimes, standing up for yourself means risking conflict, but it also means showing people how you deserve to be treated. And if they can't handle that, well, that's their problem, not yours. A few weeks passed after Lisa's half-hearted apology, and life moved on. Alex and I were busy preparing for the baby's arrival, setting up the nursery, attending doctor's appointments, and soaking in these final moments before our lives would change forever. Lisa stayed out of our way, which was honestly a relief. But then came the family dinner. Alex's mom wanted to host a big get-together before the holidays, a chance for everyone to catch up before things got hectic. I was hesitant to go, knowing Lisa would be there, but Alex convinced me. "We're not letting her dictate our lives," he said firmly. He was right, of course. When we arrived, Lisa was already there, sitting in the corner and scrolling on her phone. She barely looked up when we walked in. I braced myself for awkwardness, but to my surprise, she didn't make any snide comments. In fact, she seemed different. Quiet, almost subdued. Throughout the evening, I kept catching her glancing at me, like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Eventually, as Alex and I were helping clear the table, Lisa approached me. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. I hesitated but nodded, following her into the living room where it was quieter. She took a deep breath. "Look, I know I've been awful, not just at the baby shower, but for a long time. I don't know why I've been so mean to you. Maybe it's jealousy or insecurity, or maybe I just hate seeing someone else have what I've always wanted." She looked down, fidgeting with her hands. "But that's not an excuse. I've been selfish, and I'm sorry." Her words caught me off guard. This wasn't the Lisa I was used to, the defensive, spiteful person who always had an excuse for her actions. For the first time, she seemed genuine. "Thank you for saying that," I said carefully. "I appreciate it. But this isn't just about the baby shower. It's been years of comments and actions that have hurt both Alex and me. If we're going to move forward, things have to change." She nodded. "I know, I've got some work to do, but I want to try." I didn't fully trust her yet, but it felt like a step in the right direction. Over the next few months, Lisa's behavior slowly improved. She wasn't suddenly my best friend, but she made an effort to be kinder and more supportive. She even showed up to help decorate the nursery one afternoon, bringing along a baby blanket she'd knitted herself. When our baby was born, Lisa was one of the first people to visit the hospital. She came in quietly, not wanting to make a scene, and handed me a small gift. A framed photo of Alex and me from the baby shower, smiling despite everything that had happened. "I just wanted you to know," she said. "I'm happy for you. Truly." In that moment, I felt something shift. Maybe Lisa wasn't perfect. None of us are. But she was trying. And sometimes, that's all you can ask for. As I held our newborn in my arms, surrounded by Alex and the family who had supported us through thick and thin, I realized that this journey had taught me something valuable. Standing up for yourself isn't just about calling out bad behavior. It's about setting boundaries, holding people accountable, and giving them the chance to change. And sometimes, when you're lucky, they do.